today we're looking at this is the review. Hello YouTube subscribers. Hello once again YouTube people. Once again YouTube. It's the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer. Why hello YouTube. It's the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer. Hello YouTube. Greetings from the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer. It's the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer here with another review. You've seen Generations Thundercracker and Generations Thrust. And now the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer
and Faceless Joe
are proud to bring you
another redundant seeker.
Why hello YouTube. Greetings from the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer. Insectobots transform stage 1. Insectobots transform stage 2. Merge into Devil Logo Awesomenator Lazy on Eyebrow Miss Reviewer Turn Supreminator. Why hello YouTube. Greetings from the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer.
Hello and welcome to another Whackmas HD. Wait a second, where the heck am I?
Why hello YouTube. Greetings from the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer. Here we go! Here's a greeting for you because it's now time for a Lazy Eyebrow Review. Greetings from the Lazy Eyebagel Reviewer. So, you may be wondering, what does this have to do with today's review? Nothing! Yes, indeed. Welcome to the final review. And just like Jazz was our second and second last review, it only makes sense that our last review be about Astro Train. So today we're looking at the 2017 Titans Return Astro Train. Astro Train was a triple. What?
We've waited 6 years for your 100th review. And now you're just going to reenact your very first one? You're an idiot.
What's wrong with Astro Train?
Just Astro Train. What about tracks?
Didn't you promise us Grimlock like 4 years ago? What?
You told me Metroplex was going to be the 100th.
Alright. What if I cover everything I haven't covered yet in one single review? Would that be okay? Alright then, I guess we're reviewing everything. And as a special treat, I'm also making this review available in Stereoscopic 3D. That being said, although this review is in 3D, unless you're watching the 2D version that is, we're going to start with footage of reviews that were filmed in 2D but never came to fruition. So then, Section 1. Filmed, but not produced. So first things first, I said 3 years ago that if I ever made it to review 100, I would review a certain Titan class figure. So then, rolling into view is none other than our original Generations Titan class figure, Metroplex. Metroplex is a figure I've had for about 4 years now, but promised myself I would review it on the 100th as kind of incentive to go that far. Little did I know at the time that this would be as far as I would get. So yes, Metroplex. This is him in his first mode, a mobile battle station. And well, to me, this just looks like a weird aircraft carrier on wheels. I say that because this part, which, is clearly on its chest or anything, isn't mounted like any sort of actual aircraft carrier, but being it's fictional, who cares? Like, this thing is armed to the teeth with cannons up top, at the side, at the very top. Man, this thing couldn't really be more armed if you tried. Also featured a ramp from the deck to the command center. I actually really enjoy the flight deck. How long it is, how it goes 2 ways, Toyhax designating the runways left and right, how when you land on an articulated arm pops up to perform repairs on the Legends scale planes, load them with cargo, just to taxi around and take off again. I don't know, I think this mode is just the absolute coolest of the 3, but the other 2 are right up there. So let's talk about them. City mode. Well, as best as a city as you can get, really. Though I'll give it this, the alt mode is way different from mode 1, which is a lot more than I can say about Lordy, look who's 40. Anyway, city mode, which means he has to be having at least 2,500 inhabitants to be allowed to call himself this. Otherwise, it's just a really expensive town. Regardless, expensive town mode has some cool highways that lead to the central core. Here he is with some HO scale vehicles, and here he is with some micro machines. But with the only vehicles I could find that looked remotely good with him. Up top is a helipad that's bigger than the other one that is also weirdly still visible. Like, unless we're talking R-Wings with their G-diffuser system or something, I don't exactly see how we're landing sideways. Something else neat is if you have Creons, they can hang out in the downtown square and not look too out of place. As an expensive town mode, he really does look great with all the skyscrapers and spires and junk poking themselves up against the backdrop of the sky. I quite enjoy the look. Alrighty then, robot mode. Once you fold everything up, man, does he ever make an impressive figure. Standing there like the big tower of a biped in expensive town mode, would become. He's just, wow. Fort Max is definitely chunkier, but there's just something about Metro here that's just impressive in stature. So he also comes with guns. One is a skyscraper, which begs the question, where does everyone go when he transforms? Do people just hang out in the buildings while he walks around? That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Imagine you're just at work, filling out some forms, in your office on the 43rd floor in the middle of an expensive town metroplexia. When the building rumbles, everything shifts sideways, and you're being flung around and aimed at people. And then you hear a powering up noise. The elevator shaft in your building is getting ready to shoot 1.21 gigawatts of power through the barrel of your office tower. And let's not forget what that must look like from the other end. You're just walking down the street when you come across the crater where Metroplexia used to be. You look up, and you find yourself looking down the barrel of the General Commons Tower. The sheer absurdity of what Metroplex is just amuses me on levels I cannot put into words. Anyway, if the General Commons Tower isn't enough firepower for you, then the Twin Peaks apartment complex perhaps might be more your style. Yep, Metro gets to dual wield, and that is awesome! And while we're at it, the individually articulated fingers means that in Mother Russia, City swings around the Spider-Man. And yes, he can also superhero pose. And you too can recreate that one scene in Fall of Cybertron where you press X to punch the Megatron. Probably the best part of the game, hands down. So that was Metroplex. Was he worth waiting 100 reviews for? Yep. He is truly an impressive figure and one that I will definitely miss out of my entire collection. On then to everyone's favorite repaints, the Seekers. Featured here is Kubi & Bao and Yes Model's take on Masterpiece Starscream. And what a burden it was to get him in the first place. It took a total of 7 attempts to get a Starscream at all, as most were eBay scams, one of which I actually lost my money on, and in the end, I didn't end up happy with either of these KOs. So let's cover why. On the left is Kubi & Bao's version. This Starscream comes in the gray with the white wing striping. This is accurate. Unfortunately, this version is also brittle, and the joints feel mushy. So much brittle so that we'll get into a little bit later, but also this figure came broken right out of the package. I wasn't happy with that. Transformation sketched me out to boot. On the right is Yes Model's take. He comes in the white the American MPO3 Masterpiece Starscream came in with the details picked out in gray. I enjoy that the details are there honestly, but the white in general is really bugging me, as is the random silver where the jet engines are. There really is no reason for this. Functionally, they're both the same. They pretty much come with the same things, except Kubi & Bao also comes with the firing missile projectiles, which I never used because first off they look weird, and second, you can't really animate that nonsense. I just find it really weird that Yes Model decided to go with the inaccurate paint scheme because I also have their Skywarp and he's a perfect replica down to a T with much better joint and plastic tolerances to boot. Just for some reason Starscream gets chinsed out on. And that brings me back to me and Starscreams. I don't know what it is, but I just can never seem to get along with Starscream. Even back in the Generations line, finding 2 Skywarps was infinitely easier than hunting down a Universe Starscream for some reason. I didn't even buy the second Skywarp. I just happened upon it at Toy Fair and was like, I already got one. But Starscream, man, hard to find a Universe one. Took 7 attempts to find a Masterpiece, and when I did get a Masterpiece, it was trash quality, and then I got the Yes Model version, it doesn't even look the part. Ugh, Starscream.
He tasks me. He tasks me, and I shall have him. I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up.
For the best color comparison, Yes Model, Kubi & Bao, Yes Model, Kubi & Bao, and so on. Alrighty, transformation. And here we are at robot mode, and again, it's the Kubi & Bao that looks far more accurate. Yes Model looks good in its own right, but it's not cartoon accurate. And so help me, if someone says Make Toys Meteor is what I should have gotten, with its super inaccurate jet mode, yeah, that's what I really should have gotten. Anyway, both come with the coronation gear. Unfortunately, while filming, Kubi & Bao's bracket that attaches the cape to the back actually snapped. That's how brittle the plastic is here. It's a shame, really.
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
And lastly, a group photo with the other two Seekers. I am glad I was able to get all three in Masterpiece format. Yes, the MP11 mold does need updated. I'd go as far to say it's outdated. In general, the Seeker design is inherently flawed. The designers are tasked with finding some way to hide the tail fins in robot mode, hide the feet in jet mode, have everything flip upside down, and still fit securely, and still somehow also support its super top heavy self at the end of the day. This is something I didn't like Make Toys Meteor for. Sure, it's got the better articulation and the better tunage proportions, but its jet mode just doesn't hold a candle. And I get to some people, jet mode doesn't matter. They don't care about vehicle mode, they just care for robot mode. That being said though, for all that extra articulation, they sure seem to have forgotten to support the heels of the stupid thing. In the end, I do like Masterpiece 11, and by extension, a lot of aspects of Masterpiece 3. They were designed with vehicular accuracy in mind, and this was what I really liked about Masterpiece back at this time. Nowadays, there is a ridiculous amount of focus on tune accuracy, and that really hampers down on the vehicles. Look, a cartoon front end. See this Mitsubishi logo? It's there if you feel like it, I guess, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a fully tuned vehicle. I'm a scale model enthusiast. I know a lot of people know this, and since selling my Transformers, I've recently regained a massive interest in my model train hobby. So, yeah, scale model accuracy is kind of a big thing for me, and I for one have been disappointed as of late from the vehicle deviations. Anyway, moving on. Section 2, the Toyhax era. For a time, I was working for Toyhax doing sticker ads for them on their channel. However, because I'm leaving the Transformers scene, I requested to leave the company. As such, there were a few figures I filmed for them that I also meant to film for my own reviews, but never got around to it. So let's go ahead and cover them. Coming down and landing is Titan's Return Scourge. And wow, what a massive difference from the Generations figure they slapped the Scourge name onto. That really only reminds me of that character from F-Zero AX, the arcade counterpart to F-Zero GX. This space boat of a vehicle actually is reminiscent of the G1 counterpart, much like the Universe Cyclonus was. So he gets to have a companion piece, finally. Awesome. And then we hit robot mode and it's like, well, hello Scourge, nice of you to finally join us after the last 7 years. This is the Hasbro variant though. The Takara one nails the colors even better, unsurprisingly. Being though he is a Season 3 character, I have no affinity with him, and we'll move on to Skull Smasher. Or Cruncher. Or whatever he's called nowadays. He's a crocodile that is super pink and dark green. See, now this is the color scheme that would have rocked my socks off of Victorion instead of the cruddy, whatever it was color scheme we ended up getting, that everyone said, no, it's supposed to be a faded green and a rusty red, even though the promotional art doesn't show it that way. It's good that way, you should like it. Well, I didn't like it. What I did like, though, is the articulation in this guy. It made for some fun animating with the ball-jointed neck, and that big open maw, and the like. It was a really cool alt mode. However, I've seen a total of 4 Headmaster episodes, and let's be honest, they're super boring. I hear the series does get better after the 6th or 7th episode, and infinitely better once you hit victory, but I've only gotten to the 6th or 7th episode, and I haven't gotten much further. So let's move on. He does turn into a robot like everything else. I had no idea what to say about him beyond, he's a robot. He's pink and green. He looks like a crocodile. Yay? I don't know. Chrome Dome I remember mostly from that US version of Headmasters from a failed attempt at Season 4 where it's humans that are trying to help the robots. However, this concept didn't fly with the Japanese and they just ended up retconning everything America did and redoing it a ton better. We'll get into that a bit later though. His car though kind of reminds me like a 1976 Pontiac Grand Le Mans crossed the 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix. And the result is oh so cool. I liked the almond and the chocolate paint scheme this guy is rocking out. The way the car is just designed. It's really cool. And then you transform it and you find out it's just dead-end mold. As a Headmaster. Whoop-de-stinkin'-do. My least favorite Commander Moore's mold materialized itself in front of me as a really cool car. You really had me going there for a minute, Hashtag. I was genuinely interested in this thing. And then I went to transform it and at first it seemed a little too familiar. And then it clicked when I was finishing it and it's like... Why? Why this? Why the dead-end mold? Why this? I hate the dead-end mold. I cannot begin to say how much I hate the dead-end mold. Moving on. So Fansproject has been kind of absent lately, yeah? For a while, they were all anybody could talk about, now they're unheard of. And in a world where masterpiece scale is the norm and everyone's just okay forking $200 over on average for another set piece for their collection, What exactly has Fansproject been up to? Well, you know, just making classic scale Dinobots. An already risky business maneuver that didn't really sell so well in the first place turned completely on its head when Power of the Primes announced they had G1 style Dinobots that of all things combined coming. And thus, we only got 5 of the 6 planned Dinobots. I only have 4 of them as the female Dinobot just came out way too late in the game for me to order, and I have a feeling Snarl has never seen the light of day to complete the set. So let's cover the 4 that I do have. Swoop is a Pteranodon that we shall call Petrie. He is also a figure Fansproject stylized to look what scientists now believe they look like when walking around. It's kinda cool. Walking around on all 4s instead of those stubby legs, he's still Petrie through and through, just stylized. Longer legs and a different wing configuration. When you hit robot mode, it's like, there's Swoop. I have him in uniform red, but Fansproject also included an entire blue torso for you to rip off every ball joint with great difficulty on the figure and replace it with the blue that it's your fancy. I don't like it. I like the Dinobots having a uniform scheme, so I personally leave it red. Articulation's great. I kinda like the style they went for, and in general, I think he's a good figure. And then on to Slash! Right. Dang it, UK, why did you have to use of all things the definition of useless dross from the result of smelting ore to define your promiscuous women? I liked the original name. It made him sound industrial, like he was every bad thing taken away from a core product, and all we're left with is an ill-mannered entity, which is what he was. And instead, we're left with Slug, which rhymes with Doug, which is what I'm calling him now. Like, Slug is offensive to slugs, and I'd rather offend Doug than slugs, though I feel by doing this I'm just offending Doug and the slugs. Doug is a Triceratops. Maybe I should call him Sarah? Nah, that just get confusing. Anyway, he's got a decent enough alt mode, though one I've had considerable trouble to line up just right. Regardless, his dinosaur mode articulation is awesome. It allowed me to do the walking animation, and that's all I can say about that. Robot mode is about everything you can expect. It's stylized, though the transformation and aesthetics scream that it's Doug, which is awesome. It's classic styled, so it'll fit in with your generations, and he's still got the big old dino toes. But everything about it is still G1-ish enough that it works. On to Sludge! Littlefoot here was the 3rd member of the Dino crew. Unlike the third-party masterpiece attempts as of late, he actually has a bunch of ball joints in his neck, making for a Patasaurus mosh pit. Possibilities are endless. Robot mode is about the same story as Doug. Stylized enough to be his own thing, but G1-ish enough that everyone knows exactly what this is, no question. Which means we finally come to Grimlock the Sharptooth, and again, it's Sharptooth. There is no mistaking, this is Sharptooth. In fact, even when opening up the jaw, I have to use a tool like a screwdriver or something because the joint is stiff, those teeth are sharp, and I have baby soft skin. So here we have all 4 of the ones I've owned. They look downright fantastic together. They look primal, almost Cybertronian in there too. I really do love what Fansproject has pulled off here. Except they're kind of lacking someone to lead, in a way. Like some would say it's Grimlock, but that would make him a king. Well, if he is a king, why doesn't he look like it? And man oh man did Fansproject pull through here. Included with the deluxe version of Grimlock is a full-on crown and throne for his loyal team members to come and do obeisance to him, Grimlock King. So that's the Fansproject dinos. They are incredibly awesome. More awesome than I expected them to be. And I'm actually really happy to have owned them for a time. Lastly, we come to Titans Return Megatron. This was a figure I don't think anyone expected. Much like the G2 Optimus that came to be, they were very obvious repaints of figures that were going to come later. That being Blitzwing and Octane. But I feel like they gave us Megatron and Optimus first because if it was reversed, those two would be shelf warmers because we got the molds. We got the figures we wanted those molds to be. Why would we want those two? And if that's the case, well, it worked. Everyone got Megatron and Optimus to get their first taste of the mold, doubly so if you were a G2 fan, and everyone got Octane and Blitzwing because it's Octane and Blitzwing, why wouldn't you? Unfortunately, I'm not everyone. As much as I really wanted a Blitzwing, I never could find one. So I was happy to get the Megatron just to explore the mold, and what a mold indeed. Here we've started off in tank mode, and well, no, it's not perfect, as you can still see jet thrusters in the front, and the wings droop over the back like a blanket. I still feel this is an amazing tank for a triple changer. The shape has been nailed down amazingly, more so than whatever this heap of scrap was back in 2013, and in general, it's a tank. You'd be hard-pressed to guess this was anything else. Same can be said for jet mode. While yes, there's some treads visible, and yeah, the tank turret is down below pretending to be a landing gear, this is a solid jet that looks the part, and looks doubly better than the former Blitzwing did as a tank mode does. And then we get to robot mode, and it's, man, where is my Blitzwing? Yes, this makes for an amazing G2 nod of Megatron, more so than even the Combiner Wars leader Megatron did. This mode just screams Blitzwing. Of the triple changes that came out during Titan's return, scratch that. Of all the unit classerations triple changes that have ever come out, period, yes, that includes Springer, this is easily the most faithful to the source material and probably the best triple changer we've ever gotten, especially for a Blitzwing. Whew, it's been nearly 20 minutes of reviewing. We'll be right back while I get myself a drink.
The Transformers will return after these messages.